doesn't seem very
advanced. You know what? Let me tell you what. Those who know Shimer, who work in it, what he found as the result of 5 different advancement directors in the last 6 years was no advancement office. He spent the first 4 months trying to just put in the minimal infrastructure to do the job. So I'm very pleased with the work that he's done.
Didn't they have their biggest fundraising year in Shimer? I mean, since at least Montpellier, the year before.
Under Ron Champagne.
Yeah, when John Meach was running the office.
Yeah, when you actually haven't even fundraised enough to cover your own expenses.
On what basis do you say that?
Well, you've only reached 34% of your total fundraising goal as of January, very recently, as opposed to very close to 85 or 90% the year prior. Last year, you were just 274,000 shy of the total fiscal year goal of $1.5 million. And this year, at the same time, you've raised about 200, it's either 234,000.
I personally believe that it does not make sense for you to say you know Shimer because you know liberal education. And I think most people probably disagree with that as well. I think that, to the contrary, we think that while Shimer may do some things which your notion of liberal education also does, it is unique from your notion of liberal education in several other ways which are important. And I hope so. So what I hope you understand is that we disagree. It's not that we don't understand, but we disagree on what the mission of the college should be, and we disagree for at least those 3 reasons.
Sure. No.
So I hope you would answer Andrea's question in that way if you were asked it again.
You want to ask it again? Is Andrea left?
I'm Andrea. What have you taken from this discussion?
I have taken that you understand but do not agree with my vision of liberal education. And I hope that you have taken that I understand but do not agree with what you articulate to liberal education. I hope we can all agree that we all think that what happens in the Shimer classroom is unique and noble, and that we're all with the best of intentions trying to articulate what that is, because we all want to see Shimer thrive. I hope that also, I think it was Mary Ellen raised the point, my expressing disagreement in no way means dislike. I mean, I hope you see that. I mean, this has been a great discussion. The previous discussions have been great. The whole reason I came to Shimer is because we take these discussions with utmost seriousness. I don't know, most colleges, they would fight this much over, who the next football coach would be.
So am I to attribute it to dislike that you ignore my emails? Or is that just like an institutional sort of thing? Because
No.
I queried you at least twice about the College of the United States affiliation, and you have completely refused to?
No, what I did with all of those, Jim Donovan and David Shiner, who negotiated with Marcia Enright to teach the course that she's teaching this semester. I had only met her once at lunch almost a year ago. So they had the facts, so I let them speak to it. And as I remember it, per my request, Jim Donovan sent out at least a couple of explanations of that. Now, if what Jim had to say doesn't satisfy you, I'm happy to talk about it further.
Yeah, I'd love to. I think
Please.
an institutional affiliation is something that comes under the office of the president. And if we have somebody out there on the World Wide Web telling people that we have a college within a college, that's something the president needs to address to the greater community as well as to our external supporters.
Yeah, I mean, we have no institutional affiliation with them, and I thought Jim Donovan did a nice and detailed job of making that clear. So I didn't think that was an issue anymore. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You had your hand.
I just would like to point something out. In your in response to Andrew's question that was rephrased, you said that Shimer has a unique approach to liberal education. And so I see sort of a contradiction in how you're going about this, because in your proposed guideposts, you want to describe liberal education as it is universally, but yet you recognize that Shimer has a unique approach to it. So I'm not really sure why you aren't addressing in your mission statement Shimer's unique approach to liberal education and not just liberal education in general as you see it.
Yeah, I mean, because sad to say, and this argument was made most recently by Anthony Convent in his book Education's End. sad to say, most liberal arts institutions today are not animated by, nor could they even articulate the vision of liberal education that we've been discussing, both of our visions of liberal education, meaning the shared points that we have. Because I think if you take the worry about any political baggage coming with liberty, we all agree that we're trying to ascend from the cave. And we also, whether or not we think that the life of active citizenship is the highest life, we all agree that you don't get to the point where you can understand the arguments for active citizenship except through the approach that Shimer takes. So when you really think about it, our differences on this, which I am not trying to minimize, but they really pale in comparison to the massive and happy facts and vision that we all share, which is why we're all so committed to this discussion.
I disagree. I mean, I think one of Shimer's principles of education is that the students are taken seriously. And I can't point to one instance in which we've given you input and you behaved in a way to indicate you've taken us seriously. I mean, that's the basic, the fundamental grounds on which a Shimer education is positive. And the way you manage the college, I mean, this is a broader issue than the mission statement, but this conflict is indicative of our disagreement, is the fact that you're not taking us seriously. And you haven't addressed that. You're not going to be able to govern the college well. You're not going to be able to stay true to the virtues of Shimer College until you start doing that. And I want you to show us something that indicates you're taking us seriously. You can tell us you're dialoguing with us. It amounts to nothing without you acting as though you take us seriously. And that's what I think what everybody here wants, is this real evidence that you take us seriously. Because that's what Shimer is about.
And I agree that actions are what would indicate it. All I can say is, mindful of the fact, as we've already talked about, that I've been hired to be on the road 2 out of every 3 days, spreading the good news about Shimer education and trying to rally support for it. I have arranged for these 3 meetings with the Shimer community in order to hear. So
I think a very good concrete example of something you could do which would show that you take us seriously is you could go to the board and say, this is what I think the mission statement should be. There is near consensus amongst the community that the mission statement should not change. My opinion notwithstanding about what the mission statement should be, I recommend as president that we don't change the mission statement at this time.
to ask me to do that would be to ask me to not follow my own conscience.
That's contrary to Shimer's ethics.
Well, but I will make that clear. I will make that clear. But I can't.
You'd take me seriously if you weren't so wrong all the time.
I understand.
Can't you separate your job from your personal life? Isn't that what we hired you to do? That's why we pay you,
Yes,
right?
no, that's right.
You're not doing this out of the goodness of your heart. We're paying you money.
Yes, and you pay me in order to get the best opinions and work that I have when it comes to what we do.
Well, strictly speaking, the anonymous donor pays his salary. But
Sorry.
that's all right.